How do you enter a new situation, new job, new neighborhood, new church, new city, a new country? How do you enter those new situations and develop relationships that allow you to enter into a relationship with people in a meaningful way that allows you to be a person of influence as well as to receive the influence of other people? Jesus shares the key for being able to do that when he gave instructions to his disciples, when he sent them out. The principle that Jesus taught his disciples is to find a person of peace. The principle that Jesus used certainly was used, of course, for sharing the message, the gospel of salvation. I believe the principle would also apply in many other situations as well. But most importantly, it's used in a way to share the gospel, to spread the gospel. Oftentimes we thought the most effective way is to pass out hundreds and hundreds and thousands of tracts or stand on the street corner and the microphone and preach to the masses as they pass by. And true, those techniques, those strategies might have their time and their place. But Jesus taught a much more simple and more powerful and effective message. He told the disciples that, verse 7 of Matthew chapter 10, as you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. Then he reminds the disciples, freely you received, freely give. Freely you received, freely give. The best way we people who are on this side of heaven can spend our time, perhaps, is to share with the people who are just on this side of hell what is the good news that we found out through Jesus Christ. Okay, now to the strategy of Jesus, the person of peace. Verse 11, still in Matthew chapter 10. Jesus said, in whatever city or village you enter, inquire who is worthy in it, and stay at his house until you leave that city. As you enter the house, give it your greeting. If the house is worthy, give it a blessing of peace. Luke in his gospel in chapter 9 gives a record of similarly of Jesus' instructions to the 12 disciples. And in Luke chapter 10, he also tells us the instructions that Jesus gave to the 70. First, Jesus sent out the 12. They came back and reported. Then later, Jesus sent out 70. And in Luke chapter 10, when Jesus gives the instructions to the 70, Luke records these words in verses 5 and 6 of Luke 10. Whatever house you enter, first say, peace be to this house. If a man of peace is there, your peace will rest on him. But if not, it will return to you. Jesus shared the principle of the person of peace. The idea is that in any place, God has sovereignly placed someone who is ready and receptive to hear the gospel. Your challenge is to go and to find that person, to pray, and as you find that person, to enter into relationship with them. If someone is not the right person, then you move on until you do find that person. That person who is a person of peace is one who is open to you, who's receptive to you, is willing to receive from you as well as to give unto you. It's a person who Jesus, the words used in Matthew 10, as a person who's worthy, a person who has a reputation, who's known in the community, a person who can become a point of referral to opening you to the networks of relationships with other people. Jesus says, find a person of peace. But as he sends his disciples out, he warns them that it's not going to be easy. He says, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. So be shrewd as serpents and innocent as doves. He furthermore warns them that, in fact, there are going to be very hard times ahead for them. He says that as you enter into difficult situations, by the way, and you don't know what to say, what to do, he says, verse 19, don't worry about how or what you're to say, but it will be given to you in that hour what you are to say. For it's not you who speak, but it is the Spirit of your Father who speaks in you. The right time, the right place, God will give you the words to say. But once again, Jesus reminds the disciples there are going to be many people who reject that message, even in your own family. Verses 21, 22, 23, Jesus says there'll be betrayal, you'll be hated, you'll be persecuted, and you may even be put to death. Encouragement he gives in such a hard situation, though, is in verse 28. Do not fear those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. On the second Sunday of November is a day of prayer, International Day of Prayer for the Persecuted Church. For people around the church who are being persecuted for their faith. Did you know that in the last century more people have been persecuted, killed, martyred for their faith than all the other centuries of Christianity that came before? These are rough times to be ahead, to be a Christian in many parts of the world. And I hope that you'll join in the International Day of Prayer. Following this video, I'll also post a video that informs more about the International Day of Prayer for the Persecuted Church. Peace.